Marvel Snap is a card battle game that is marketed as easy to pick up. But to be successful in the competitive aspects of the game, players must implement a good strategy and quality deck building. If you are new to the game or have been playing for some time and want to gain more insights into the game, here are some tips to help you improve your competitiveness. Prioritize locations. To win a match in Marvel Snap, you must win 2 out of 3 locations. It's essential to keep the win condition in mind rather than trying to win all 3 locations. By focusing on 2 specific locations and accepting the loss of the 3rd location, players can avoid spreading out their power and making themselves vulnerable to their opponent's high-power cards. Try to predict your opponent's strategy and counter. In Marvel Snap, deck building is vital, but so is your strategy. Players should anticipate their opponent's next move and counter it. For example, if your opponent has a destroy deck, use armor to protect your cards and disrupt their plan. You should also consider where your opponent is likely to make their final play and adjust your strategy accordingly. Be cautious of playing unrevealed locations. In Marvel Snap, locations reveal themselves during the first 3 turns. Players should be aware of the potential downsides of playing cards on unrevealed locations. It's best to be patient and not play blindly to avoid missing out on or worsening the impacts of the abilities of an unrevealed location. Understand each location's exceptions. Some popular locations have exceptions depending on the cards you use. For example, Death's Domain does not destroy indestructible cards like Colossus. Understanding each location's exceptions is critical, and if your deck is vulnerable to specific locations that feature frequently, adjust your deck to include some exceptions that won't be affected by the location, thus minimizing the disruption to your gameplay strategy. Make sure your deck cards complement each other. It's important to ensure that the cards in your deck complement each other, especially if you're building a movement, destruction, or discard deck. Complementary cards can be useful in combos, but also when building decks around a core card. Incorporate location effects into gameplay. While players want to work around locations that negatively affect gameplay, they should also make sure to incorporate location abilities into their gameplay when they could provide a boost. Balance out energy costs in your deck. Players should ensure that their cards have a good distribution of energy costs proportional to how many turns they can play them on. High power cards with high energy costs should only make up a small part of your deck. Snap towards the end of the game. Players should save snapping for when the outcome of the match is more certain. If they snap on the first turn, their opponent will know they're bluffing or snapping blindly. Memorize your deck abilities. Players should memorize their deck abilities to speed up gameplay and determine ideal combos or ideal times to play the card. Check opponent card details. Players should tap on their opponent's cards they don't recognize or are unsure of their exact details to see the energy cost and power amount, as well as abilities. Upgrade cards you don't use. Players should upgrade low-level cards that they don't necessarily use to increase their collection level, which gives them access to more cards for their deck. Claim the daily 50 free credits. Players should claim the daily 50 free credits in the shop tab to increase their credit pool. In conclusion, following these tips will help players improve their competitiveness and be more successful in Marvel Snap.